Hi, welcome to our 12-minute conversation on operational speaking. I'm Sergiu Simmel, Principal EOS Implementer at Get Business Momentum.
And I'm Paul Marston, the owner and CEO of Abenaki Carriers. And more precisely, I'm the integrator and visionary at my transportation company, which has been running on EOS, the Entrepreneur's Operating System, for several years now.
And I've had the pleasure and the honor to be Abenaki's EOS Implementer. So today, our conversation is titled, Why Gossip Reigns When Problems Get Ignored. So are you ready, Paul?
I'm ready when you are, Serge.
All right, great. So let's go into the memory lane first. Your company has been around for how long, Paul?
Oh, the company since 1973.
All right, so that's a long time. Think about issues. And we spoke previously in previous conversation about how we actually solve issues. But I'm curious to know, looking back before we started implementing EOS, how were issues even known to be solved? I mean, where did they pop out from?
Oh, where do they pop out? They're like weeds. They come from everywhere. And if you can nip them in the bud, they're easy to pull. But if they grow, they're hard to get out. We used to hear all the time, phrases, cliche phrases like, well, that's the way we've always done it. Or that's just the way we do things. Or nothing ever changes here.
Mm.
Or nobody ever does anything about that. Everybody knows that.
Mm.
And what that's a symptom of is, well, what's happening is nobody's taking accountability to document these issues and get them written down.
Mm.
You take the moment, so what it was, of course it's going to cycle through because nobody's ever stopping the cycle. The cycle is we're going to have a lot of little meetings, coffee, water cooler meetings, and we're going to all yap about the latest problem that's caused, and we're not going to come up with any foundational solutions. Or we come up with a few, but nothing really sticks. And then that problem just recirculates and usually grows bigger, and it grows bigger and grows bigger.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, your computer locks up to none of the technology works around here.
Did you ever have any of those issues that people would say, at least in their minds, oh, we're not going there?
Oh, yeah. Oh, totally. And that's right when, it's hard to put on my hat for what it was like then, because that's a sign now for that's right where we're going. That's exactly where we're going. We used to have technology problem, a big network of computers here, and a lot of different software running our transportation company. And it was just a known fact. It would operate slowly, and we needed to upgrade. And it wasn't until we put in we started really dealing with our issues. And by dealing with them, I mean coming up with an issues list, with a system that said no longer are we going to tolerate that's the way it's always done. That's going to now be, well, let's get that on our issues list.
Mm. So this issues list is basically a list. We call it an issues list in EOS. Issues are not just problems or difficulties or let's say challenges or broken promises, things like that. But they're also on the positive side, opportunities and new ideas and so forth. So we just, in a most unstructured way, we put them all on a list and we keep them. And of course, each team actually has its own list. So you as an integrator, Paul, are running the leadership team, right? You have a issues list at the leadership team level, right? But let's say your head of operations runs another team, which is the operations team, the top level, management part of the operations team, kind of a middle manager, and he has his own issues list, right, for that team.
It is something that you live by. It's something that some issues have stayed on our list for several weeks, months. Once on there, never to be forgotten. And then we will have times throughout the year that we will review all the lists, all the issues we have there, and try to, sometimes it might be time to pull something out.
So these issues come you're facing a set of issues that originate from where? I know that some of them are leftovers from the previous week because obviously sometimes the list is longer than what you can cover, and those meetings have a fixed duration, so they end after 90 minutes, so you got to stop. But where else do they come from?
All week long, anything that needs to be that needs the collaboration of the leadership team. So that's the number one place. Somebody comes into my office and all of a sudden we start to go through a problem, and if we two can't resolve it and we can't get the third person, we don't always wait until the end of the week, depending on the size of the issue. But when we want the collaboration of the whole leadership team, we'll put it on that list to discuss. We'll go into the details of our weekly meeting, but we don't get bogged down in that accountability section with discussion, because if my metric is off on my delivery metric is off. My delivery metric is off. Now, if I have discussion or if somebody wants to ask me questions about that, we'll put that on the issues list.
Right.
Us all of a sudden being caught up, I get my whole leadership team caught up in my particular, it may be no issue at all, and I don't want to stop us from getting to the really important issues. We then prioritize those issues at the weekly meeting. I've got maybe a laundry list of 10, 20, 30 items. Now we're going to sit there and say, what's new this week? What bridge is burning this week that we need to get on this issues list? And we'll get that on there. Now we look at the whole list and say, well, we got to just figure out, next week, XYZ is happening. So that's a really important issue. We've got to get to that.
When you get to actually tackle these issues, the way to select the first issue or the issues that you are actually focused on is basically done during the meeting, having the entire issues list in front of you and asking yourselves this question, or these three questions, if you wish. They are all the same, which are basically, first question will be, what's the number one top most urgent and impactful or important issue, and then what's number two, number three. Now, it's interesting that there's a kind of a psychological background to all of this, why we actually choose three issues, why we just choose one and then go solve it. I remember Gino Wickman, who's the creator of the system, mentioning to us that really what happens is that if people know what the top three issues are that we are going to tackle, while we are actually focusing on issue number one, in the back of their minds, there will be something that goes on issue number two and number three. So we are actually kind of speeding things up by, in fact, selecting three at a time. And that's, two more than three is too much. But three at a time is actually just about the right number. And then once you solve the first three, then we select the next three, and not by order, but by actually importance and urgency. Now, I am sure, as usual, when you introduce a new thing, that people actually kind of are a little bit tentative about it, and sometimes outright resist it. So when I was working with you at the beginning of the EOS process, of course, I'm interfacing with your team only during the full day sessions. What did your folks actually do? I mean, how did they respond where we're asked initially to put their stuff all in open on the issues list?
There's just this tentativeness and this disbelief that it's going to work. There's disbelief that anything's going to really get done. And it takes momentum. It really does. You as the leader have to have a little stick-to-itiveness and discipline. That you're disciplined to bring it up to the leadership team and put it on the issues list. It's brutal. It just dawns on me. When you've got those issues and you solve it during the midweek and you forget to tell a critical person, then the action gets taken. The critical person then jumps up and says, nobody told me. And now you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, oh, I should have IDS'd this. Why didn't I do this? And I think I've gotten a little bit better at that. That just popped in my head. That hasn't happened. It'll probably happen to me this week. We'd have an insurance thing, and I'd be talking directly to our safety manager, and I'd leave out the CFO, and there would be an impact on our premium or something, and that type of a thing. And so it's discipline on the leaders, but this is a tool this is the anti-headache tool, right? For the leader.
Exactly.
Let's get it on the issues list. Let's get it on the issues list. Sometimes it's just buying time, right? You want to get more collaborative input from the team. You could give an answer immediately, and sometimes you do. But a lot of times let's bring that issue to the leadership team.
Well, time is running up, Paul. So any last thoughts?
This is just a great tool. This is such a topic that it is in the upper right-hand quadrant. It's urgent. It's important, but not urgent, because we can always try to discuss our way out of these problems. Coming up with an issues list, getting it in paper, putting it up in front of the group, having it as your list as a live item, if you will, for the meeting. They go up there and they come off of that list with action items is so powerful.
So should people just go off and implement this little piece of this little slice of EOS on its own, or what do you suggest?
There's certainly some nuggets from this conversation you could do on your own. Absolutely. EOS has so much to offer, and you want to use your time and your money wisely. And you want to really start on third base. You don't want to start at home plate. And hiring a coach will get you that advantage. It will use your leadership team's time and money and your money wisely. So I could not encourage you more to hire a qualified coach like Sergio.
Well, thank you so much for your endorsement, Paul. And of course, for those of you who are watching this, if you want to reach out and ask questions about the EOS implementation program, you can reach me at 617-731-3132 or email me at sss@getbusinessmomentum.com.
Thanks again, Sergio. And I'm really looking forward to our next 12-minute conversation here at Operationally Speaking, because I just love sharing this stuff. And I know that people can glean a lot from these conversations. So until next time, remember, lead with wisdom, enthusiasm, and clarity.
Well, thank you so much, Paul, and goodbye, everybody.